My phone vibrated on the counter. It was a message from my sister, Megan. I grinned, expecting her to ask about the flower arrangements for her wedding. But when I opened it, the words made my stomach drop. Hey, so things are tight with the venue. There's no room for you at the wedding anymore. Sorry. Just like that, I'd been uninvited. What she didn't realize was that I was the one holding the whole event together behind the scenes. I'm Clara Bennett, 28 years old. For as long as I can remember, I've been the dependable one in my family. Megan, my older sister, was always the shining star, the beautiful, popular one who got whatever she wanted. Meanwhile, I stayed quietly in the background, planning and organizing. I built my own event planning business from scratch, orchestrating massive corporate galas and dreamlike weddings for other people. I wasn't glamorous. I didn't crave the spotlight, but I knew how to make things happen. I thrived on the scent of fresh flowers filling a ballroom, the soft tuning of a string quartet, and the look of pure joy on a client's face when their vision came to life. When Megan got engaged, I was genuinely excited for her. I immediately offered to manage her wedding, pro bono. It was my gift to her, my way of making sure her day was flawless. For 6 months, I threw myself into the work. I spent countless hours negotiating with vendors, meticulously arranging table layouts, and smoothing out every little logistical hiccup that arose. I did it because I loved my sister. I just didn't realize that love wasn't mutual. If you've ever been sidelined by the people who are supposed to care about you most, hit subscribe now. Leave a comment with where you're watching from. I want to hear your story. I stared at my phone, the words glowing back at me. No room for you. The casualness of it hit me like a punch. No call, no real explanation, just a text, like she was canceling brunch, not wiping me from the most important day of her life. My hand shook as I set the phone down and immediately dialed my mom. I expected her to be angry on my behalf. Mom, did you see Megan's text? I asked, my voice unsteady. There was a long pause before she spoke, a deep sigh carrying over the line. Honey, she said, her voice weary-eyed. You know, Megan's fiancé Alex has a big family. They had to make some hard cuts. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. My voice rose in disbelief. Mom, I've been working on this wedding for 6 months for free. I poured my heart into it. That was a gift, Clara, she replied, her tone shifting from tired to sharp. You can't use a gift to guilt her. Don't make this harder for your sister. It's her day. I hung up, a chill sinking in. No support, only in order to stay silent and compliant. So, I called the one person who owed me an explanation, Megan. It took 3 rings before she finally answered. Yeah, what's up, she said, her voice laced with irritation. What's up, Megan? What was that text? You're uninviting me to your wedding over a text message. I heard her scoff. Look, she said, Alex's cousin from Ohio is flying in with her kids. She'd be hurt if she didn't have a seat. You live just 10 minutes away. Understand? It's all just numbers to them. But I'd orchestrated everything. Megan, I said, my voice breaking. I picked the caterer. I found that venue for you. I scored a discount on the flowers. And we're grateful, she said, her tone saccharine. Truly, we are. But the guest list is the bride's call, and I can't just uninvite Alex's family. It wouldn't be proper. I was dumbstruck. The sheer indifference was staggering. Just as I was about to hang up, she added one more thing with such casual ease it stole my breath. Oh, and by the way, she said, I still need you to finalize the florist payment next week. The deposit you put down doesn't cover the full invoice. Can you handle that? The audacity was jaw-dropping. She didn't merely want me erased from her wedding. She expected me to labor and pay from the sidelines. That was the breaking point. A week passed in a haze of hurt and fury. I tried to move on, to shove it out of my mind. Then my father called. At first, his voice was upbeat, warm, inquiring how I was. I sensed the trap immediately. So, the family is pooling together for a big wedding gift for Megan and Alex, he began. We're helping them with the down payment on a house. It's a huge surprise. That's lovely, I said, bracing for the other shoe. Your share is $2,000, he said as though it were trivial. Just transfer it to my account. I gripped the phone tighter. Dad, I'm not even invited to the wedding. His cheerful tone evaporated. This isn't about the wedding, Clara. This is about family. Are you seriously going to be selfish over a tiny seating issue? Don't punish your sister. She's already stressed enough. Punish my sister? I was the one thrown aside. I was the one they were trying to squeeze for every last dime and ounce of work. At that moment, I realized they didn't view me as a daughter or a sister. They saw me as a resource, an ATM, unpaid labor. I told him I wouldn't contribute, and he slammed the phone down. The silence afterward was heavy, absolute, and it got worse. A few days later, I was scrolling through Instagram absent-mindedly before bed, and there it was. My cousin had shared a set of photos from Megan's bridal shower. A lavish brunch at that little garden cafe I had discovered for her. The one I had insisted would be perfect. All the bridesmaids were there, laughing, champagne in hand. They wore the dresses I'd helped select. My cousin posted a group photo, a sea of smiling faces, with Megan radiant at the center. The caption read, "Celebrating the beautiful bride-to-be, the A-Team." There it was in bold, cheerful color, confirmation of my erasure. I had never been part of the A-Team. I was the stagehand who set everything up, only to be kicked out before the curtain rose. I closed the app. The happy images scorched themselves into my mind. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was a cold, hard rage fueling itself. I'd let them walk over me my whole life, but this time was different. The final insult arrived 10 days before the wedding. My phone rang. It was Megan. I almost didn't pick up, but I did. Her voice hit me like a whirlwind of panic. "Clara, thank God you answered." "It's a disaster," she cried. "The band just canceled. Their lead singer has CO or something. The wedding is in 10 days. You have to fix this." It wasn't a request. It was a command. She expected me to step right back into the role I'd always played. Fixer, planner, the one who cleaned up every mess. I took a slow, steadying breath, and for the first time, I didn't give her what she wanted. "I'm not your planner anymore, Megan," I said, my voice calm and steady. Silence. Then her panic morphed into pure rage. "I can't believe you," she shrieked into the phone. "After everything I've done for you, you're so petty. You're probably loving this, aren't you? You probably enjoy it." I said nothing. I just hung up. The click of the receiver sounded louder than anything she could scream. In that moment, I made my decision. I wasn't going to sit around feeling sorry for myself. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction. I moved to my laptop, the screen casting a pale glow on my face, and opened a travel site. A few clicks later, I booked a non-refundable, week-long trip to Hawaii. My flight left the morning of her wedding. What Megan and my parents didn't understand about my business was simple. I don't just plan parties. I manage risk. I protect my clients, and I protect myself. Every vendor contract I sign is a fortress of clauses and conditions. They are legally binding documents, not casual handshakes. I had learned early on that you must safeguard your work. And here was the detail they had completely overlooked in their rush to exploit me. Every single contract for that wedding, the historic venue with its lush gardens, the five-star caterer known for their farm-to-table menu, the sought-after florist who could make peonies look magical, the company providing specialty silk linens, was signed not by Megan or my parents, but by me, on behalf of my company, Clara Events LLC. The deposits they assumed were gifts from me weren't cash out of my personal account. They were legitimate business expenses paid from my corporate account, carefully logged and documented. They thought I would just roll over, absorb the humiliation, and come back for more. They saw me as the quiet little sister, the pushover always willing to take their selfishness. They assumed everything was finalized, paid, and ready to go. But they hadn't read the fine print. They didn't check whose name was on the contracts. They had no idea that legally, the entire event didn't belong to Megan. It belonged to my company. And every contract included a standard clause. The final balance for services was due 7 days before the event. Missed that deadline, and the contract was void. Before I acted, I needed certainty. I called my friend Sarah, a sharp, no-nonsense lawyer who had helped me draft my contracts from the start. We met for coffee, and I spread the stack of paperwork on the small table between us. I walked her through everything: the texts, the phone calls, the money demands, the bridal shower chaos. She listened carefully, her expression darkening with each word. When I finished, she picked up the venue contract and scanned the pages. Slowly, she nodded. "You're in full control here, Clara," she said, her voice steady and unwavering. "These vendors answer to you and you alone, not your sister. If the final payment doesn't come through by the deadline, you're entirely within your rights to cancel everything. The deposits are refundable to you, minus a small administrative fee. It's all spelled out, plain as day." She held my gaze. "This isn't about being petty," she added. "This is business. They treated your professional services like a doormat. You have every right to pull that doormat right out from under them." Her words hit me like a lifeline. This wasn't revenge. It was about respect, about reclaiming my worth. That evening, a new notification popped up in the family group chat, the one I still, inexplicably, remain part of. It was from Megan. Crisis averted. Found a great DJ last minute. See, everything works out when you don't let negative people get in your way. I read it and felt no sting, no anger, only calm resolve. They were completely unaware, moving along in their little bubble of arrogance, convinced they'd won, thinking I was sulking at home. They had no clue the ground was about to vanish beneath them. The next afternoon, I went to work doing what I do best: administrative precision. With measured focus, I drafted 4 separate emails, one for each main vendor. The tone was courteous, professional, and firm. I attached the relevant contract excerpts, highlighting the final payment and cancellation clauses for clarity. The body of the email was straightforward: "To whom it may concern, as the client of record for the event scheduled on August 30th, I am writing to inform you that I will not be remitting the final payment as stipulated in our contract. Please consider this email official notice of cancellation as outlined in the terms of our agreement. Kindly process the refund of my deposit to the business account on file at your earliest convenience. Thank you. Clara Bennett, CEO, Clara Events L." There was no anger in my words, just the calm, decisive clarity of a business owner making a sound choice. I set all 4 emails to send automatically at 9 a.m. the next morning, exactly 1 week before the wedding. At 9 o'clock sharp, the emails went out. For a few hours, there was silence. I imagined the messages arriving, the account managers opening them, the polite phone calls being made. Then, around noon, the first tremors of chaos began. Megan's phone rang. It was the venue manager, Mr. Harrison, with whom I had spent weeks negotiating. "Hi, Megan," he said, his voice professionally apologetic. "I'm calling to confirm that we received a cancellation notice from Clara Events for your booking next Saturday. Unfortunately, the date is no longer held for you." Megan laughed, assuming it was a mistake. "That's absurd," she said. "My sister is just being dramatic. The wedding is still on." "I'm afraid the contract is with her company," he replied politely. "And since the final payment wasn't received, we're required to release the date. It's our policy." Megan hung up, bewildered and furious. But then the caterer called, delivering the same devastating news, followed by the florist, then the linen rental company. One by one, the pillars of her perfect day were collapsing. My phone finally rang. Megan's name lit up the screen. I took a sip of my tea, let it ring once more, and then picked up, putting it on speaker. "What did you do?" she screamed, her voice sharp and panicked, cutting through the line. "The venue canceled. The caterer canceled. They've all canceled." I could hear my mother shouting in the background. "Clara, you have to fix this. This is a nightmare. How could you do this to your own sister?" My voice, by contrast, remained calm. "I didn't do anything," I said, staring out at the bright, clear sky. "You told me there was no place for me at the wedding, so I removed myself and my business from it. You ruined my wedding to get back at me." Megan shrieked, tears of fury in her voice, not sorrow. "No, Megan," I replied, my tone steady and unwavering. "You tried to humiliate me after I gave you my time, my skills, and my money completely free. You don't get to treat me like garbage and still reap the benefits of my work. Those contracts were in my name. The deposits came from my company account. My father jumped in, his voice thundering with anger. You will call them back and fix this right now, young lady. This is your family. I can't, I said simply. It's already done. The cancellations have been processed. I delivered the final blow. The deposits, over $10,000, have already been refunded to my business account. I forwarded all the email confirmations to you. There was a stunned silence. The shouting stopped. The screaming ceased. In that moment, they finally realized they hadn't just lost my help. They had lost the venue, the food, the flowers, the money. The entire foundation of the wedding was gone, and it was entirely their own doing. I hung up and turned off the phone. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel hurt. I felt light. I finished packing my suitcase, zipping it closed with a satisfying finality. The next morning, while they were scrambling through the mess of their own creation, trying to salvage disaster, I was sitting in an airport lounge. I watched planes take off and land, sipping a steaming cup of coffee, my boarding pass to Hawaii resting on the table. For the first time, their chaos wasn't my problem to fix. Their panic wasn't my burden to carry. They had wanted a flawless wedding without me in it. Now they had no wedding at all. In the quiet hum of the airport, I finally understood. My worth isn't defined by their approval or by whether I had a place on their guest list. It's something I create for myself. They lost me that day, completely and forever, and I never looked back. We all face moments where we must choose ourselves over those who refuse to recognize our value. Standing up for yourself is never simple, but it's always necessary. Your story deserves to be heard. If you've ever made a hard choice to protect your peace, share your experience with our community in the comments below.